From the White House tonight, what is a recession? Does it matter? And why the president is denying something a majority of Americans say is happening. Today, the GDP numbers came out. For the second straight quarter, the economy contracted. In other words, GDP growth was negative. That, by almost every conventional definition, is a recession. That's how it looks right now. In other words, the data supports what you are feeling about your money. In a word, uncertain. In 3 words, uncertain and probably a little bit scared. Here's the president today.
We have a record job market of record unemployment of 3.6% today. We've created 9 million new jobs so far just since I became president. Businesses are investing in America at record rates. $100 billion in semiconductor investments already announced by Intel, Samsung, and Texas Instruments. More than $100 billion in electric vehicle battery investments by Ford, General Motors, Hyundai, Tesla, and more. And just last week, as I said, SK Corporation of the Republic of Korea announced $22 billion in new investment in semiconductor batteries, chargers, and medical devices. And this is powering the strongest rebound in American manufacturing in over 3 decades. That doesn't sound like a recession to me.
Mr. Biden also announced a deal to raise taxes on corporations and spend hundreds of billions on climate change initiatives. He says that will make things better. So in other words, we have gone from the Build Back Better plan to the Inflation Reduction Act. It's far from a done deal on Capitol Hill, but as you can see, the president was pretty excited about it. $369 billion towards climate energy, $64 billion to the Affordable Care Act, $739 billion in revenue from corporate taxes. In other words, it is the first time in history that we are spending money to lower inflation. But put that aside for a second. Back to the recession. 61% of voters believe the country is already in a recession. Only 25% do not. And that polling was done before today's numbers. Gene Sperling, President Biden's senior advisor, former director of the National Economic Council, is with us. You've been doing this for an awfully long time, sir. What do the American people, 61% who say that we're in a recession, do not understand that the White House does?
Well, this isn't just about the White House. We're really letting people know what the conventional wisdom is. What people are expressing there is they are frustrated by the fact that global inflation is hitting us here in the United States. People may be a little frustrated that we're still dealing with the aftershocks of the pandemic, and certainly the fact that this unthinkable act of aggression by Putin has raised gas prices in the U.S., even though that's fallen by 72 cents. So I think when people talk about their unhappiness, we understand. I mean, we understand it's a gut punch to go through the grocery line or the gas pump and see those higher prices.
I understand the idea, and you worked for Bill Clinton, who was the greatest president of all time at feeling Americans' pain. It's how he won in 1992. But so many Americans feel as though the president doesn't understand what they're going through. When was the last time he was at a grocery store?
Look, the president's been out as much as possible. Obviously, the pandemic has some limitations. But look, I was out with him in Cleveland when he was announcing historic pension relief for families, as he spent probably 2 hours in the line talking to people, hearing about their issues. And listen, I think it's right for a White House, as well as for newscasters, to give the balanced and correct view of the economy. You don't want to deny the pain people feeling at the pump. But let me just give a very clear fact. Never, ever in the history of our country have we had a 6-month period where you've had robust job growth and very low unemployment where it was in a recession. Never. That's not just us saying that. That's what Chairman Jay Powell said yesterday.
I completely agree with you.
You just had the earnings calls from Citigroup and JP Morgan where they said things like, no sign of a recession. So I think it's important to, as you say, understand the pain people are feeling at the gas pump and the grocery line, but also to let people know that if there's an R word out there right now, it's more likely resilience. That 3.6% growth, unemployment, and 2.7 million jobs in the first 6 months is not consistent with anything resembling a recession, not just now, but in the history of our country. And again, this is from the chairman of the Federal Reserve, not just an advisor to President Biden like myself.
I understand, and there's a lot of economists on the other side of this. Mohamed El-Erian said, hey, you can spin economic numbers all you want. I have a degree in economics, not nearly as schooled as you are, but there's talk of stagflation. Americans are frustrated. They're scared. Do you worry that a president who keeps saying we're not in a recession when 61% of Americans say that we are, it just becomes out of touch?
I think you have the worry the wrong way. Every person is the world's best expert on how they're doing. So you do not ever want to question when someone says, hey, they're feeling, pinched, they're feeling the squeeze.
But the president's doing that.
But no, he's not. He's very clear about how people are feeling and the empathy. And he's talked about growing up in a home where a nickel in gas prices really affected him. But how people get their information about the overall state of the economy, well, that does come from people like you and I. And you don't want to give a rosy scenario, but you don't want to give an overly dark scenario. So there are these negatives like the fact that global inflation is hitting Americans here at home. But just want to restate, we've had 2.7 million jobs created in the first 6 months. That is a terrific amount of job growth for a year. You have 3.6% unemployment. You have consumer spending actually added to growth in this semester.
I appreciate
all we're
that.
saying is that we're just stating the fact that if you're saying we're in a recession, that means you think we've been in. If somebody says that, they're saying that we were in a recession over a 6-month period where unemployment was 3.6% and 2.7 million jobs were created. And we want to let people know that there are more signs in the economy of resilience, that we can make a transition, we hope, to a more stable growth with lower prices.
I got to get to this. The Inflation Reduction Act that was Build Back Better is spending hundreds of billions of dollars and raising taxes on the very corporations that need to continue to hire people the answer at a time of, at the very best, economic uncertainty?
But you have to look at the overall package. This is a package that that not only us, but critics, people who've been critical, like Joe Manchin or my friend Larry Summers, say is anti-inflationary. Why did they say that? They say that because it not only pays for itself, it lowers the deficit by at least $300 billion. And let's take prescription drugs as an example. It's going to lower prescription drug costs by $288 billion. That's helping Medicare have lower spending. That means less high prices for seniors, and it's going to cap the amount you have to pay at $2,000. That is about lowering prices. We're lowering health care premiums for 13 million Americans, and we're going to lower energy costs for a variety of Americans. And again, not only pay for it, but have deficit reduction. And that, again, is why even people who we've sparred with occasionally on the American Rescue Plan have said this is anti-inflationary.
Let's come out with it. You'll understand better than most, having done this for decades. We got to run, but we appreciate the time and you being willing to come out and talk. It's
Thank
good to
you
see
for coming to the White House to talk to us.
Thank you.
Appreciate
we'll be back.
it.
Good to see you. Thank you. Gene Sperling from the President's advising team. The world looked. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.